Welcome to the Business Blast Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with the support you need to finish your book. Best part is, after you finish your book, they take care of the entire publishing and marketing process 100% for you. So, if you want to become a successful author, make sure to check out authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today, I have Grant Elliott with us. He's the president and CEO of Ostendio, a B2B SaaS platform for companies who want to simplify their cybersecurity and risk management processes. So welcome to the show, man.
Hi, great to be here.
Of course, man. Great to have you here. Let's jump into the first one, Grant. So the first one I have for you is, what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, actually. I was talking to someone recently about something very similar to this. You know, I kind of grew up in Scotland in a town called Paisley, which at the time I grew up in the 80s was kind of quite economically challenged. And so round about the age of 20, I moved down to London to try and find work. And, you know, I think the first weekend or the second weekend I was down in London, I was in my bedsit, you know, didn't know anyone, and, you know, was listening to, you know, my clock radio, which was the only thing I had in my room. And a song by the Proclaimers came on called Letter to America. And some of your listeners might be aware of it. It talks about, again, the whole concept of sending back a letter from America because the person's had to go to America because they've left Scotland for, you know, economic reasons, and different industrial towns have gone down. And the person I was talking to about this, you know, had a very similar experience. She was American. She'd moved from Michigan and moved to London and Europe, etc. And what was really interesting was we both had this kind of same theme of being forced to have to leave the kind of place we grew up. But both of us looked at the life that we had, and, you know, we've, you know, again, had a great life. I've been able to travel the world, and, you know, worked for some amazing companies, met some absolutely fantastic people. And the kind of shared experience we had is that, as difficult as it was to be forced to leave where we grew up and leave our family and friends, actually it led to a fantastic life. And that, you know, even in situations where you think that, you know, you've been forced to do something that maybe you don't want to do at the time, it can lead to great opportunity. And that, you know, the world is a fantastic and beautiful place. And if you just, you know, again, don't accept what's been handed to you, don't just accept the kind of, you know, the economic advantage or situation that you've been handed out, you know, take advantage of what else is out there and travel and do great things. And I think for me, that was the kind of lesson, because it was a difficult time in my life. But again, you know, I look back now and it was the best thing I could have ever done.
Thank you for sharing that with us, man. The next one I have for you is, what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess probably from my perspective, and, you know, my company, we're a cybersecurity and information management company. I'm an ops guy by heart. You know, I look at things from a very operational perspective. I like to make sure that things fit into neat patterns and structures. I love spreadsheets and business models. And when I was given the responsibility of being a chief information security officer and trying to implement security programs, and, you know, the interesting thing was that doesn't always fit into neat little boxes, and trying to get an organization to behave a particular way, to get, you know, employees to do what they need to do, senior management to do what they need to do. So what was really interesting out of my, you know, my personality, my particular experience, was, instead of kind of like struggling and trying to do that, I guess like most organizations do, the whole concept of Ostendio sprung out of that challenge. You know, how do you basically operationalize the ability to implement a security program? How do you simplify it? How do you build it into a tool that allows you to simplify that whole component? And as I kind of look back right now, I kind of realize that my entire career has been built around that kind of similar, you know, challenges. You know, whatever problem I faced in the past, whether it be in marketing, you know, in product management, etc., it's always been about trying to take this kind of analytical approach to solving problems, to try and create a level of efficiency and operational advantage through systems, through tools, through spreadsheets, or whatever way to try and simplify it. And I think maybe it comes from being inherently lazy and not wanting to have to do more work than I actually do, trying to find automated or systematic ways to get things done. And I think that comes from just, you know, an inherent operational focus or operational and analytical perspective. and has kind of led to, I think, a lot of the opportunities I've had through my career.
And what is your best piece of overall business advice, so not necessarily industry specific?
I've had some great advice from lots of different managers, and interestingly, probably some of the best advice I've had have been from maybe not some of the best managers. But I had one manager one time said to me, his advice on leadership was, leadership is not about knowing what to do as so much as it is knowing what not to do. Right? We grow up in a world, especially in a corporate world, where it's all about getting things done. We like to have our lists and our task orders, and that sense of accomplishment when you get that list completed or get everything done. When you're leading or when you're running an organization, unfortunately, there's always way too much to be done. So part of the challenge is choosing and not just what to do, but what not to do, accepting and living with the fact that you're going to be managing a degree of failure and that things are not going to be done. And sometimes that's harder, choosing and consciously choosing what not to do versus choosing what to do. And I've kind of found that advice really, really useful during my career because, it allows you to understand and accept that you're not going to get everything done and become a little bit more comfortable and proactive about choosing, what can I leave for tomorrow that's not going to bite me? How do I focus on just what I can get done today and what's the priority of the day and not be completely distracted by the fact that I'm not getting everything done straight away.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Yes, it's a great question. I think I probably have more faith in myself. I think that, again, growing up in a kind of economically disadvantaged place, there's a tremendous amount of competition for relatively few opportunities. And so there's a tendency to probably think that maybe you're not as smart or not as talented or not as capable as maybe you are. And I think, when I look back in my younger self, I wish I had a little bit more confidence. I wish I had a little bit more belief in myself. I think that, it's great to look back at, again, not to say that anything I've done is perfect, but, look back at accomplishments and achievements and take confidence out of that, working with different people on an ongoing basis and realize that the way people present themselves is not necessarily who they are or what they are, and that people are always presenting their best self, and that's not necessarily who we are. We all try and attain that level of perfection, but we never quite make it. And I think my younger self probably believed the kind of presentation that everyone else gave and believed that that's who everyone was, and because I wasn't that perfect, that maybe somehow that there was something lacking in myself. And I think life teaches you the lesson that actually we're all flawed, we're all imperfect, and really what we try and do is do the best we can. So I kind of wish when I was a little bit younger I had a little bit more of that knowledge, but maybe that's just one of those things that just comes with old age.
And kind of going a little bit down a different path, in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
That's for me. We just had a situation recently. My mother-in-law just actually passed away very, very recently, and so we've had to go through that whole service. And she was 80 years of age when she passed away, so she lived a great life. And one of my friends stood up at the service recently and talked that whole concept. What is death? What is happiness? What is a life well lived? And what really kind of came out of that and really resonates in what I believe in. It's really about who you surround yourself with. Happiness is about having people to love and having people that love you, and making sure that you have people in your life, because it really doesn't matter what you have materially. It really doesn't matter, sense of purpose or achievement. All those things are important, but fundamentally, for me, happiness is about my family. Happiness is about making sure that I have people to love and that there are people that love me.
And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
So this is going to probably sound a little bit cliched, but it probably is the book that's had the most impact in my life. And I think it was not just because of what the book was, but probably the time of my life when I read it. And it was actually Nelson Mandela's autobiography, A Long Walk to Freedom. And the reason I think it had so much impact is not just because Mandela was an amazing individual, but a couple of things struck out at me. One was that with the hardship he faced, with the systematic pressure that was faced on him, and obviously the people he represented, he chose an approach that was incredibly nuanced and incredibly subtle, right? And I think the other aspect was just the fact that mean, he was, if I got this right, he was, I think, in his late 30s, maybe in his 40s. I think he might have been just in his 40s when he actually went to prison. And then he still spent, 27 years in prison, and still managed to maintain that sense of dignity, still managed to maintain that sense of grace and that sense of courage, and just ongoing faith in humanity and people. And, I think if someone like Nelson Mandela can maintain that level of faith, given all that he had to go through, then I think we have to look at ourselves a lot at the time and sort of wonder how impatient or intolerant we are at certain points. So for me, that was a kind of, again, is a recurring theme through my life, which is, again, take a long-term view and just don't give up, just continue going.
And what is your favorite quote and why?
So my favorite quote, again, came out when I was actually studying management, and it's, some people have heard of it, and again, if you haven't, apologize, but actually it's a quote from A.A. Milne, and it's, if you look it up, it's out of Winnie the Pooh, and it's the famous bump, bump, buck quote, and it really basically, I'll paraphrase it rather than go through the thing, but Christopher Robin's pulling Edward Bear down the steps, and by the foot, and he's bumping his head in the back, as he goes downstairs, bump, 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 and he wishes there was a better way to come downstairs if only the bumping would stop for a minute to think about it. And I kind of love that quote so much because I love the fact that it's just taken out of literature. But it's such a great management metaphor for the fact that we spend a huge amount of time just ploughing forward and doing things and getting things done without ever really thinking and stopping if there's a better way to get things done. As an entrepreneur, I kind of feel it's my duty to sort of stop and think, look, is there a better, is there easier, is there a simpler way to get things done, rather than just plough ahead and just focus on it. So I love that quote, basically because what it represents, but also because I just love taking fun quotes out of literature and the lessons that we can take from it.
Yes. So listen, thank you so much for coming on. The last one I have for you before we let you go is, where is the best place for people to find and or connect with you online?
Well, so again, people can find us online at www.ostendio.com. They can find me on LinkedIn at Grant Elliott. Again, just the Grant Elliott Ostendio search, although I am a big Grant Elliott on LinkedIn. And again, they can tweet us at Ostendio, or they can tweet me at Ostendio _CEO. And again, all of those work, and we'll be happy to respond or answer any questions.
Perfect, man. Thanks again for jumping on.
Hey, it's been a pleasure. I enjoyed it. Thank you for inviting me.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.